Capricorn, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. Welcome, guys. My name is Michelle, and this is going to be basically a recap of the major planetary aspects and transits and how they are impacting your natal sun. Now, I don't know what your natal sun is. You do, because it's going to be information you'll find on your natal chart. If you want to get your natal chart, it's easy. Just search engine it. Just put free natal chart into any search engine and a bunch of websites will pop up. You'll be able to input your birth date, birth time, birthplace, and get that natal chart. And for those of you who don't want to get your natal chart, I will estimate the dates of where these locations on the zodiac wheel would translate into dates. That's not real specific though, because the dates change every year as to when the beginning and ending of each zodiac season. So FYI, the most accurate way is to get your natal chart and find which degree in Capricorn your sun sits on. So if your sun sits anywhere between 0 and 9 degrees Capricorn, you are in the first decan or group of 10 degrees of Capricorn. And so you are Capricorn 1. If your natal sun sits anywhere between 10 and 19 degrees, you are Capricorn 2. And if your natal sun sits anywhere between 20 and 29 degrees, you are Capricorn 3. There are huge differences in the angles, basically 30 degrees between the beginning and ending of Capricorn season. And this makes a big difference with how each of your natal suns is going to interact with other planets as they transit each other. And I can tell you this right now, this is why so many times I hear people disagreeing with their horoscope or disagreeing with what's going on in some sort of general reading, because they're like, yeah, this isn't happening to me at all. There's a big difference. There's a 30-degree difference between the beginning and ending of each season. And that could mean the difference between one natal sun being sextile to a planet, which is a very agreeable and opportunistic and fortunate angle or relationship, while the ones at the end of a season are square to that same planet, and it's a completely different energy. So that's why we break it down into decans the way that we do. First, we're going to start really broad, Capricorn, as to the major transits or aspects that are impacting everybody. And then we're going to whittle that down into specifics as to how they impact you, the things that you should definitely be focused on in general. And then we're going to go deep into each of the decans to say how it all plays out specifically for each of you. I highly recommend that you listen to all three, especially if your birthday is somewhere in the middle of the decans or right on the edges of each decan, because you will pick up energies from both sides. So let's get into it. I've got all my information written down, y'all. So this is from the dates of April 12th through the 18th. So we're covering that 7-day span. And one of the major transits has already happened. It's happened on April 11th. On April 11th, Venus moved into Gemini, and she was all cozy, cushy, and luxuriating in her house of Taurus, and now she's moved into Gemini. And it's not that she's uncomfortable in Gemini, but Venus becomes very different in Gemini, and that will impact everybody, especially in this first couple of days of her going into a new sign. So how does she behave in Gemini? Well, friendship first, dating many people, talking, conversations, learning about people through conversations with them, how they speak. Speaking eloquently is extremely sexy and important. Intelligence is important. Being well educated, it's a turn on. It stimulates intellectual stimulation when Venus is in Gemini, giving a lot of value to having a bright mind. And we have a conjunction this week that is actually going to help that out a lot. Venus in Gemini also supports learning about money, getting educated about your own financial situation, and learning how to be better with money. So a sense of learning and education being what the major stimulus is Venus in Gemini. So she's going to interact specifically with a few of you, and we're going to talk about that. But the other major occurrences that are impacting everybody are two conjunctions. One of these conjunctions is Jupiter conjunct, well, the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Aries. And they've been in Aries for a while now. The Sun is in Aries. It's Aries season right now. They are in the last decan of Aries. I think they're about 22, 23 degrees Aries. And they're just going to stick together the entire time. This conjunction it's great for confidence. It's great for sort of the energy of feeling good about yourself, but it could also be big-headedness and feeling so good about yourself that your confidence is not equal to your actual competence. So just understand that you could get a little bit out of hand with that, or other people that you're dealing with could get a little bit out of hand for that. But it is about growth and expansion of the self. And as long as you're humble and are willing to learn, this could be a great time for advancement and becoming a better version of who you are. There's another conjunction that I think is really awesome. It is Mercury conjunct Uranus. And it doesn't actually start to happen until tomorrow, if you're watching this video on Wednesday, until April 13th, when there will now be, when Mercury moves close enough to Uranus to be in a 5 degree angle to Uranus. Now, Mercury and Uranus are reflections of each other. Uranus is the high mind, the higher mind, the great intellect, the sort of genius quality, think outside of the box, take something that didn't exist before or only existed in the ether or the concept, and then bring it through mathematics into the real world and really use it for real world applications. So this is all about intellect and changing the world through brilliance, through intellect. That is not what Mercury is. Mercury is about day-to-day distribution of information and communications. But when the two are conjunct, it's almost like a special message, because remember, Mercury is the messenger. A special message or communication is going to go out to all of us about an extraordinary technological breakthrough or discovery. So we might be able to look forward to that this week. Whatever it is, this is interacting in a really brilliant way to be able to think outside of the box, and your mind, all of a sudden things just making sense to you that didn't make sense before. I think this is a wonderful conjunction to take a test under, depending on how it's interacting with your natal suns, and we will get into how since it's happening in Taurus, it could very well be trine to some of your natal suns. This Mercury-Uranus conjunction. Hold on. How did I not write this down for you guys? Yeah, Mercury and Uranus is oh yeah, I did write it down for you. I was just reading the wrong side of the sheet. I wrote it down for you guys. Since it's happening in Taurus, it's going to be in a natural trine to a specific group of you. So that's going to actually cause a lot of ease and harmony, especially in your workflow, just to let you know. So let's talk about your ruling dignitary, getting specific as to you guys, Capricorn. Your ruling dignitary is Saturn. So it's always good for you to know where it is and what's the environment that it's in. So Saturn is going to be in Pisces for the next almost 3 years. It's in the first 10 degrees of Pisces for the next year. It's going to be there till February, until it moves into the next decan of Pisces. So what does this mean for you? Well, it's not the most comfortable position, but it's also a way for you to expand and grow. When we get uncomfortable, we also see what our worth is, and we learn things. And we're also a sense of putting, like I said, putting it's like making dreams solid, making them, manifesting them into reality. So this is actually a really exciting time for you to make something that never existed before, or be open to something that never existed before, and find a way to actually manifest it into reality. Saturn this week is going to be trine to the south node and sextile to the north node. It's been that way for a while. It will actually be that way for a while. What does that mean? It means harmony with what you're capable of, and being in such harmony with where you've come from and what you've done with your life that you now know how to apply it to your future and open up opportunities for yourself. We also have a trine to Mars, but only until the 14th, which is Friday. That's actually been a long term. It's been there for a couple of weeks now. It ends this week. It's not going to really impact you. It's just the flow with your body, the harmony with being able to do things, maybe having higher energy. It will subside, but I don't think anything bad will happen because of that. But there also is a square between Saturn and Venus all week long. Now, what does that mean? Since Venus is in Gemini, maybe just a sense of clashing between the details and the practicality, the intellectual mind, and the intuitive understanding of things. Basically, Saturn square Venus is taking things too seriously, having challenges or power struggles within the relationship, who is in control, struggling with authority figures, valuing you the way that you feel that you are valued. And with that Sun conjunct Jupiter, somebody could be a little bit too high on themselves and expect too much from the other. So just an FYI that's a general energy out there that could be impacting all of you. Let's dig down now into the decans, shall we? We can get into specifics. So decan 1, these are Capricorns, absolutely Capricorns who are born in December. So if you're a December Capricorn, you are a Capricorn 1. Capricorn 1's Venus all week long is going to be quincunx, or in a challenging aspect to your natal sun. Financial attraction, conversations could be stimulating, but also a sense of it's pressing and you have to address them. We also have a sextile between you guys. Your natal suns are going to be sextile to Saturn, which means there are doors opening or opportunities when it comes to your career, authority figures really liking you, giving you opportunities. But there's also a square to Neptune, which means that you could easily get distracted and go into brain fog. So just FYI, take time to help yourself ground yourself. Grounding yourself is, you like literally wear leather bound shoes. Don't wear rubber shoes, or ground yourself by walking in the dirt or in your garden before you go off to work. It's really going to help to center you and help center your focus. You can also ground yourself through breath work. But I think in general, anything you can do to ground yourself will help you stay more focused this week. Your natal suns are trine to the North Node and sextile to the South Node. Really interesting energy, actually, a sense of finding opportunity and finding comfort and really wanting to use what you know, because it's almost like you now know, you're really excited, you now know how to apply your talents and skills with the future and really accepting the trajectory of where you're headed. So that's actually really productive energy for you guys this week. Capricorn 2s, you are in opposition to Mars. What does that mean? And I wrote this down, and there's a specific day that you got to watch out for, so we're going to get into that. But natal suns opposite to Mars, there's this pop-off energy. There's just a sense of anger, quick to be responsive, quick to be defensive, just really stimulated really quickly with jumping into things. I highly recommend you guys don't do anything strenuous or stressful when it comes to physicality, because with this kind of aspect, you are more than likely or prone to accidents when Mars is in opposition or square to something. Just an FYI. But there is a particular day today, so that is Wednesday the 12th. The moon is conjunct. The moon is going to be conjunct your natal suns and in direct opposition to Mars too. And when the moon is opposite Mars, this is really angry energy. So especially today on the 12th, expect that anger could pop off out of anywhere, or that you could react easily, angrily, and physically defensive toward people, or people could be reacting that way to you. Just especially watch that day, ground yourself that day, maybe work remotely that day, but all week long that opposition to Mars is going to make you a little bit more defensive and reactionary, so just know that. Your natal sun is trine to Mercury, and as of Thursday, the 13th, it's going to be trine to Mercury, the Mercury-Uranus conjunction. So that means really, really happy information and harmony coming, brilliance in the mind, free-flowing thought. It means that it's going to help you put two and two together. It means it's going to help you figure things out that you couldn't have figured out before, and or see that you have capabilities outside of what you normally thought you were capable of. So that's actually really beautiful energy. And a long-term aspect that you guys have been dealing with is your square to Chiron. So what does that mean? Questioning your value. And so I would not questioning your value, thinking that you're not good enough, maybe because of past traumas or past failures. So I would not be surprised if that opposition to Mars, especially when your natal sun is conjunct the moon opposite Mars on today, on the 12th, I wouldn't be surprised if it's coming from a place of being extra defensive and pop-offish because you're not feeling so good about yourself. You know, because you're dealing with this long term, you kind of get used to dealing with it. But when something like this comes by and makes it difficult for you and exacerbates the situation, can really start to trigger those feelings of insecurity again, of not being good enough. And that's probably where your reactionary impulses are going to come from. So just FYI. Also, when your natal sun square to Chiron, you're already a little bit more accident prone. So definitely don't take any unnecessary risks on especially Monday, but all week long with your physical self, FYI. Then we have Capricorn 3s. Y'all ready? So Capricorn 3s, this will definitely be Capricorns who are on the cusp to Aquarius. It's basically the last week of Capricorn season, week and a half, last 10 days of Capricorn season. So your natal suns are conjunct to Pluto. Whoa, that's right, because Pluto has just moved from Capricorn into Aquarius, still at 0 degrees Aquarius. So those of you who are born on the Aquarius Capricorn cusp, you guys especially, you are conjunct to Pluto and you are experiencing major changes in your life, and it's not going to change now. That's a long-term aspect. We've talked about it before. It's just now the changes are happening in Aquarius ways, in your community, in your social justice beliefs, in your beliefs of justice in general, and in your friendships. So just an FYI. Neptune, for those of you who are born on the Aquarius cusp, is sextile to your sun as well. That's also long term. So this is a sense of, so let me say those two together, because they're both long term, is about a change of faith or events that make you change your faith-based beliefs. So that will be the major metamorphosis that you guys are going to be going through right now, FYI, for the next couple of years. Your natal sun is also square to the nodes, major life changes, turning a corner in your life, like feeling yourself go through a change of maturity, like give up the past and want something new for the future. But this week in particular, because that's a long-term transit as well, long-term aspect as well. So this week, your natal sun is square to the Jupiter-Sun conjunction, which means you are going to be, or could be, expecting to butt heads with people who disagree with how you see yourself, or with people who see themselves way bigger than they actually are. Just an FYI, remember squares present challenges so that you learn and grow. This will be the major challenge for this week for you guys, dealing with hot-headed or big-headed people, or with your own big head. But I think it's more dealing with big-headed people. Just an FYI. I love you guys, and I hope you'll join me over on Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your week ahead tarot card reading for Capricorn. Please remember to subscribe to this channel so that you can join the live astrology chats that we have on here most weeks. I took time off for Easter, FYI. But generally speaking, that you could jump on those too, and you'll always get updates if you ring that notification bell of when I upload your favorite content. I will be back here next week and every week for you guys and your week ahead astrology forecast. I love you, and I'll see you next week.